But speaking of fucking great bands, we're going to introduce you, Vic. We're going to do our little intro. Mark might show up here, but he might show up a little bit later. So I'm going to introduce myself, then Joe will go. We'll say, you can even introduce yourself then. We'll say this is heavy metal horror, and then I'll introduce you, and we'll get talking just like we're doing now, just real low key, conversationally.
I can dig it, man. I can dig it.
Cool.
I just apologize for talking over you.
No.
I'm just a talker, man, and I'll get going and bulldoze. And
Excellent.
It's rude, and I'm sorry. I'm fucking sorry.
Fucking do it. Do it, man.
Too. It's the Italian in me, so I just, you see my hands going every once in a while because I can't sit on my hands and talk at the same time, right? So.
That's cool because I've got only 2 questions to ask you, so go away.
Perfect.
Excellent. All right. I'm going to give a countdown, then we'll do it. I am Montag, master of illusion. What goes up must come down, but not always.
I'm Chop Top.
And you are listening to, what? We can do it again. Vic, do you want to introduce yourself?
That's okay. I didn't know what I was doing, so I just figured I'd put my hand up. Look good.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do it one more time from the top.
No, it's cool, dude. You introduced me. I don't even want to talk. I don't know why I'm here.
Okay.
No.
All right. Cool. Then we'll keep it. We'll keep it. And you are listening to Heavy Metal Horror. Kitty.
I didn't get the memo on that. You should have given me the memo on that.
You want to do that? You want to do the heavy metal horror?
It. No, leave it. I think it's great.
Okay, cool.
I look like an idiot, and then I say horror with my mouth.
That's great. Hey, well, we haven't figured out the technology to do the video. So just the audio.
Technology.
I could put a camera, but I'm sure there's a way to capture our gorgeous faces. Some guys in prison will be jerking off to us tonight. So, especially you, Vic, with your pretty hair.
Fantastic hair. That's all. That's the only thing I have going for me.
And I got a pretty mouth, so I know what that means. All right, tonight, kids, we've got a special show. We are going to be doing some local music, celebrating local music with local legend Vic Stown is here tonight. Vic, how are you, man?
I'm good. I'm doing all right. Enjoying my basement right now.
Yeah, it's a sweet basement with thousands of CDs behind you. I do love that big collection of Britney Spears you have.
I mean, if you zoom in, to be honest, if there were zooming in, you'd probably see some things. That's all. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Oh, I have. Believe me, I have zoomed in. I see it because we have some of the same ones. Same collection. My Britney Spears collection is fairly limited. I've got some from Britney, some from Circus, and then some from In the Zone. My favorite song of that being Toxic. I think.
Oh, that's a good one, man. That's a
great
good
song. Yeah, and I think an underrated favorite from Circus is Poppy. That's a really, really good one. And I like I'm a Slave for You. So, yeah, Britney.
Listen to her music. I just jerked off to her, so I don't know.
That's right. And I think she does the same once she sees our show, and she'll probably do the same,
I mean, hey, Toxic is a good song, man.
It is.
Did you ever hear COB covered it? Did you ever hear that cover?
No, huh?
Yeah, it's cool as fuck because it's Alexi Laiho being badass at guitar and sounding like himself. It's cool. It's actually cool, man.
That's great.
Pretty sure they did that. Maybe I'm wrong. You should be Googling these things and fact checking me.
I Googled last night. I'm exhausted.
I Googled last night.
What did you Google?
It's taxing.
Yeah, it's like I pulled my groin for a half an hour. Yeah, I can't do it anymore. I'm out of socks. Oh man. So for those of you not in the know, Vic Stown is the mastermind and genius behind several metal bands. Vindicator, and I'm gonna guess that this name is a Volcana or Volcana.
Yeah, good job. Excellent.
Volcana.
It goes by either. It's just you just kind of run with it.
Volcana sounded right, and then
that's how I say it.
Yeah, and then Liquor Quick, which I can't wait to talk about that. And then Violent Night. Yeah. So, Vic, man, first you're the head of like 4 very different bands. I'll say overall, there's a lot of thrash. I mean, let's talk about Vindicator first and foremost. Vindicator had. I mean, I'm going to make comparisons to other bands, but it's not like I'm saying you're trying to rip them off or anything like
Oh
that. But for
no,
people
absolutely.
who've never heard your music, I want to give them a sense of what it sounds like, what I heard, and
Right.
like some of the styles, like, oh yeah, this sounds like this or that, like, oh fuck yeah, because it's really original. And I say, man, I am a fucking fan. Of all the bands that you have, I love Volcana the best. That was it the album, the Goddess of Flame. Jesus Christ. I listened to that like 5 times yesterday. I'm like, oh my god, that's fucking great.
Thank you.
And yeah, so this is all like all coming from the heart, not blowing ass up your skirt. I'll leave that to Joe. So, Vindicator, I think, Joe and I, or sorry, Chop Top and I were talking before the show, and we both just love how it sounds like classic old school thrash. Like shades of like early Testament, early
Right.
Megadeth, even
Right.
like some Venom, coming
There's
through.
even early Metallica that Kill 'Em All.
Yeah.
Kind of. You heard some influence throughout there, and that's really
Right.
cool.
Yeah. That was our goal, was Bay Area thrash. When we set out to do that, that was the goal. Because Violent Night operated from 2003 to 2005 and ended kind of unceremoniously. And Wayne, myself, and my brother were like, we're not done making music. We liked the thrashier stuff that Violent Night had written. But if we wrote something too simple, it oftentimes collided creatively with our lead player at the time. He wanted to be far more technical, kind of go in a not so much Gothenburg vein, but if I had to point to something, it was going to be like that. He was really into COB at the time, and the kind of Gothenburg sound, which I think included At the Gates.
Right.
He was a real big Opeth fan. So real technical. He wanted to go really, really, really technical prog. We weren't. We added that stuff early on, but it wasn't our wheelhouse. And when the band broke up, Wayne, myself, and my brother were bent on starting something a little more raw, a little more Venom in mentality, punk thrash. And at the time there weren't too many bands doing it, so we happened to cross Marshall, who had just left Black Trinity, who was also into thrash, even though he was being a black metal vocalist. We're like, let's do a black and thrash band. That's a thing. Let's he's got the pipes for it, and let's just go down there and meat hand our guitars and punk our way through these songs. And with Violent Night, we learned a lot of stuff. We rehearsed for, I mean, damn near a year before we played a show or something. And we didn't play out very often. It was like a couple times a year in the few years that we operated. And we weren't making that mistake again. When Vindicator formed, we were like, demo, book shows, do this. And that's how we handled it. But, we wanted to, nod back to, Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Venom, with some punk, with some new wave of British heavy metal. We were, and again, we weren't recreating the wheel. We were just doing what we loved. Right. And that was what we were really into. And that was what was fun to write. And that's the direction we took.
Mm-hmm. Well, you have those influences, but it does sound completely original at the same time. It's like you are another band of that era, of that genre. That's what, to me, it's what it sounds like. You're just every bit as good as these early bands, and every bit as raw and almost unproduced in a way that could be like, I'm at a fucking club. I'm gonna know what I'm gonna be hearing, because this is what you sound, raw, big punch of energy in your face. And knowing Marshall from Black Trinity, he was singing those screechy monkey death metal vocals, which after a while, like but his vocal style was really different with Vindicator. I thought
it was
more,
for one thing, like and I didn't want to handle the vocals because, I sang for Violent Night, and it was difficult for me. You sound like Dave Mustaine. It was and back then I kind of took it as a compliment, but it was a backhanded compliment, oftentimes, and I just didn't want to do it. Like, I was just like, man, I didn't feel confident in myself. And so I wanted to get out of that and just focus on writing and performing, and having Marshall up there, who had like the lungs to scream and shriek, you know, and
Yeah.
I mean, there's still fans that prefer him as vocalist for Vindicator. You know, their favorite stuff is There Will Be Blood or The Antique Witchery. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm certainly not upset about that. You know, I still wrote most of the music, so I'm still taking it as a compliment, you know.
Right.
But you know, he definitely had the energy to do that. You know, I can do vocals, you know, obviously, as you know, because you know, you've listened to this stuff and I've performed live as frontman. So, but it's a lot easier to not be tethered to a mic. So it's difficult to be energetic and tethered to a mic and do, you know, play guitar or play drums or
right.
Maybe that might be the next.
Like, that'd have been cool. A guitar walking around singing.
The next step, the next phase might be our seventh son of a seventh son. I'll bring some synths in.
Guitar them all.
I mean, if you're a Geddy Lee, man, you're playing that shit with your feet. But I'm not doing that. I can barely play guitar and sing. I'm not trying to add another layer of difficulty to my task. It's already daunting.
I get it. You know, like when I was in the Escape Little Pigs back in college, you know, I wrote most of the music and sang a lot of the songs and played guitar.
Yeah.
So I understand that sometimes, you know, when Fred would sing his songs, I just got a chance to play guitar, and I'm like, I just enjoyed that.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I don't have to sing or remember words. I can just be in the moment and like play and just enjoy it in a way that I couldn't. You know, and when I did play drums in Charlotte's Web, I didn't have to worry about any of that shit. I'm just playing drums like follow me, you know?
Right.
And it was just completely different. So I totally get that sense of freedom. You know, and while it's nice being able to do that, I'll just take playing guitar any old day. I'm cool with that. I can just relax and not have to worry about it, you know?
Right. You got to be an entertainer. You're telling to him, like, you got to interact with the crowd. And Marshall was really good at that, too.
Yeah, I can do that. You know, I did that with the Pigs. I mean, we were a goofy band, so I get it. But it was just nice to play. So, you know, I like that. But, you know, I really like Dog Beneath the Skin. I listened to it. I'm hearing things because I'm a fan of the genre. I hear like a little touches of like rigor mortis from Freaks. You know, the guitar riffs or the chord progressions. You know, I'm not sure if you're a rigor mortis fan. I'm assuming.
Oh, absolutely! I can reach behind me right now. Well, that's going to make me look through the alphabet, but they're right behind me. I was a big fan of what was the new one? Slaves. What was it called?
Slaves to the Grave. Slaves to the Grave.
I was a huge fan of that one, man. It was so, you know, I pre-ordered it because I met Bruce a few times.
Okay, cool.
And absolutely one of the sweetest people I've ever met, you know, classic, like Texan, you know, like sweet.
Yes.
Just man. First time we played we opened for War Beast twice. One time was in, might've been Missouri. I don't know. It was a festival, and we were on the bill with him, and I was like, "Dude, that's fucking Bruce Corbett. I got to meet this guy." You know, went over to his table, started talking to him. Super nice dude, super nice guy. You know, took my picture with him and all that shit. And then they were on tour with somebody. I want to say it was Destruction, because Destruction was always fucking touring, and we played that every time they came to Peabody's. I think we opened for him, and you know, hooking up with him there, you were like an old friend, you know. So followed him on Facebook, you know, talked to him and all that shit. Pre-ordered that record when it came out, was absolutely floored by it. So fucking good.
Yeah.
The one that I don't have Freaks. I got, you know, the self-title, and I've got, you know, Slaves, but I don't have. I missed the opportunity to rebuy it. They had it on their web store for a while, and you know, it was like one of those things where I put it in my cart and just sat there like a dumbass, you know. And,
Freaks or Versus the Earth? Freaks.
I have Versus the Earth. I do have Versus the Earth.
Yeah.
That was actually the first rigor mortis record I bought was Versus the Earth. Probably just because it was more readily available. But
sure, right.
Yeah, I own the self-title. I remember buying for $10 on vinyl. I was like, not leaving that here.
No.
But
it's a great album too.
That's an interesting comparison, though. I don't think I've ever heard anyone do that comparison.
I think it was like from Chained in the Attic or something like that. There was a riff in Chained in the Attic that sounded like something from when I heard Dog Beneath the Skin. I'm like, oh, that kind of sounds like chained in the attic a little bit. That's
Interesting.
Or something. I'm like, oh, that's great, because rigor mortis has such a distinct sound and style.
Right,
you know?
right.
And I agree with you. Bruce is totally cool. We were Facebook friends, and we talked back and forth, and I got the signed Slave to the Grave too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And just way cool. And then on Humanarchy, I'm guessing that's how you want to say that. Humanarchy.
I say Humanarchy because I'm clever.
Oh,
you see,
right,
that's a play on clever play on words there.
Humanarchy, of course. Duh. So,
that's what we used to call the skeleton, though. We used to call him Hugh Monarchy. That was
that's good, right?
We gave the skeleton from the Antique Witcheries. That was his nickname. But yeah, Humanarchy.
Yeah,
clever me.
I love it. I love the title. Go ahead, Montag.
Well,
chop.
Vic, I was just going to talk about before the show. I talked with Montag about you guys' artwork. Oh my gosh, Sleeping with Evil, fantastic. And I forget, unfortunately, right now off the top of my head, the title of your one, but it has the Red Knight on it. Remind me of something
United
like
We Fall.
The Mask of the Red Death.
Yeah.
Right. Like directly, that's the first vision I got out of that when I saw that cover. I'm like, gosh, that's a Red Death from like Underground Post Stories. So really great artwork on your guys' stuff.
Thank you. Really, I mean, that's one of the things, like, you have to do that kind of thing. Artwork's very important to releases. And, I've learned the hard way because I have some releases that don't have stellar art on them. You kind of just go with either what you have access to or, if you have a budget for it, those two releases in particular, Sleeping with Evil was when Stormspell wanted to release that, the label had mentioned that, they wanted to do it, and they had a piece of art that they thought would fit perfectly. And that, I guess, another band had rejected because I don't know if it just didn't fit, what they were looking for. I understand that as an artist, I get that. Seeing the art, I was like, yes, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Sleeping with Evil's about a succubus, so that
it's beautiful.
That fits the bill perfectly. And that artist, dude, is the same artist that did the Stutz reissues, Mark. And he also did he did King Diamond's, I think, newest record recently. It's that same guy. He does a lot of work for Stormspell. I'm pretty sure it's that same guy.
Okay.
His name's
so they paid for him to do the art, because there's no fucking way you're going to be able to pay for him to do an album cover. That'd be thousands and thousands of dollars.
I don't know what kind of deal. I don't. That's like the inner workings with the label and him.
Okay. Because I want that poster. I want Sleeping with Evil. I want that as a fucking T-shirt. I want a fucking wall hanging. It is just gorgeous.
It's perfect. It really is. It's one of the better pieces of art that we had. United We Fall. When we came to the budget for that, we didn't have a whole lot of money. And I don't know how the guy came up. His name, I think his name's Julik or Ulick. It's been a minute since I don't remember the guy's name. He did a lot of fucking old, like, 70s and 80s fantasy covers. And I don't know how we found this guy, but we were like, hey, we just emailed. We found an email. Hey, we want to get some art from you. And he was like, well, here's the prices for what I can, how much it is to license something from me. And here's how much it is to get an original piece. Well, we didn't have the money to pay for an original piece, but we went through the pieces that he was able to license. And that one really spoke to me because that particular record is really politically driven. And I just, that Red Knight on the horse and all those corpses, I was like, that's the one. And a lot of people like aren't into that. A lot of people are like, oh, been better. And I'm like, it's always something. But for us, the band really was really into that art. Like the it's like that Red Knight. The horse is covered in red. That spoke to me. And I thought, in people who get it. Our current lead player, he was a fan before he was a member. So that's really an interesting thing. And it spoke to him. He was like, this artwork fits this record. It's one of the earliest conversations I had with him, and he gets it. So like the fans get it. Like it's more than just a cool piece of art, because here's the thing, like we could have hired Ed Repka to shit out some album cover, man. And I'm sorry, man, the guy's work in the past like 10, 15 years, he will literally reuse bits and pieces of covers. You can find the same elements of things on a Gruesome album cover or a Condition Critical album cover. He recycles stuff, and it's really looking generic. It's like when White Wizard hired the famous Maiden artist. What's that guy's name?
Derek Riggs.
Riggs. They hired him to do something for him, and what they got back was this real terrible CGI with like this cool like background with this cool wizard in the front. Well, they used the wizard, but they dropped that real bad background. It's just not. It's not what it used to be. But I'm not trying to knock anybody. You know, like these guys are really. They're still super talented, but it's like it's not genuine anymore. And an album cover should speak. You look at Peace Sells, and you're like, yeah, that says something to me. You know, I mean,
Rest in Peace.
Yeah, it should say something to you. That's what we were going for. But I mean, not always. You know, the Antique Witcheries wasn't something we were like, oh yeah, you know, Skeleton Warriors, they're real. We're conveying a message here. We just wanted something that looked cool, you know. But I mean, so it just depends on what you're going for. We've tried, you know, to stay on top of our art game. I've tried to stay on top of my art game, you know, finding cool artists to do my work and whatnot, because I can't draw worth of shit. Stick figures are definitely not cool.
Well, if you ever do like Stick Figure Massacre, you know, that would be the way to go. You know, and I can even throw in a few stick figures myself, because that's about where I'm at.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah.
Excuse me, Vic, you talked about your lead guitar player currently that was originally a fan before he got into band. And I want to say on a lot of the leads are just blazing. Phenomenal lead work on those albums.
Let me tell you the leads that you won't like. My leads. That's why I have always sought out a lead player. When you get past the 12th fret, I'm Kerry Kinging my way through everything. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. They're just like, fuck, I don't remember.
See, Jeff Hanneman. Jeff Hanneman wrote every one of your favorite Slayer songs. Jeff Hanneman wrote. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest here.
Absolutely.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I was never a lead player. I am a songwriter. That's what I do. And I'm a rhythm player. That's my specialty.
You're the Paul Stanley, not the Ace Frehley.
Right. And I wish I would have learned some like simple licks, but I never did. And so we were always on the hunt for somebody who could play past the 12th fret. And our first lead player, he did the job. You know, he did what we needed him to do. He was more of a shredder. But Mikey Belisle, he did a couple of the Vindicator records, and he was in Violent Night. And once Vindicator started doing stuff, we kind of coaxed him into the band for a few releases, but he didn't stick around. And it's hard to fill voids like that. Like, that guy's lead work is really good. He was in the Four Horsemen. If you ever saw them live for a long time, he was the Kirk Hammett in that band. And fantastic lead player. Absolutely. He's a great guitar player. Losing him was really, really, really hard. And when we lost him, we coaxed some kid from California to come out, and, you know, he showed a lot of promise, but he didn't stick around. But our ultimate, then we thought we found the be all end all when we found James. James LaRue was in White Wizard. If you've never listened to White Wizard, do yourself a favor and go find yourself, just listen to High Speed GTO. Holy shit. I mean, it's your favorite Maiden record that Maiden didn't write.
Cool.
And I remember being a younger gentleman with my brother in his bedroom watching the video for High Speed GTO and being like, holy shit, where did these guys come from? And how the fuck they afford to make this video? It always pissed me off. Like, oh, somebody's got money. So James LaRue is the lead player in this band. He ends up filling in for a band that we're on tour with called Aggressor from Canada. And first thing I asked this guy, I walked up to him and I said, so who's got money in the band to afford that video? That was the first fucking question I asked this guy. What a dick thing, right? And then he ends up joining our band. I don't know. So, and dude, James is solo. So James did the work on United We Fall and Sleeping with Evil. And holy shit.
Those albums, right. Those albums.
That guy.
Fucking phenomenal.
That guy's a tough player. And I never thought I was like, this is it. We're not going to be able to replace him. And I don't even know if we can replace him. We can find another lead player. We have trouble with lead players, man. They just don't stick around. And I know what that looks like. To most people, they would be like, somebody's a dick. It's never the case, man. These guys just leave on their own. It sucks, you know.
You're like the drummers in Spinal Tap, you know. You just can't.
Yeah. Except they don't spontaneously combust.
It's hard. It's hard to keep a band together, man.
It really is.
We went through bass players left and right in the Pigs.
Right.
It's like, how is it so hard to get the guy together to come and have play and have fun? You know, I mean, being not on a college campus and living in a dorm, it's a whole lot different when you're working in the real world. You know, I mean, Joe and I
Right.
have written music years ago. We just, because of where we live and our work schedules and life comes in and kicks you in the balls. We just
Yeah.
never got to be able a chance to like take it and make it reality, you know, but we have really fun
Right.
songs. Maybe I'll just give them to you and you guys can record them. That would be
Yep.
great. You can
Covers.
do our
Covers,
album.
man.
Right on.
Covers, man.
Right. Our band was Wizards of Gore. You know, we were totally inspired by the Herschel Gordon Lewis, you know, splatter movies. But we'll talk more about that. But yeah, I have the songs and I know the chord progressions, how they go. I'll give them to you.
Honestly, I
You can
would
make
I
a
would
whole album.
love to hear this because I've only, you know, you've shared a few of the pig stuff.
Yeah.
Charlotte's Web was the band that did the Dr. Seuss stuff, right?
No, that was the Pigs.
Was it the
Yeah,
pigs? That's
Charlotte's
such a
Web
great fucking concept.
was the real band. I'll put that in quotes.
Oh,
That was the punk edge death metal band I played drums in.
okay.
And yeah, I'll send some stuff to you. You know,
Hey,
it's
look, if you've
30
got
years
any like
old.
cassette demos, please, those are the things that I want.
We used to have cassettes, and now
Dig
I just
those
transferred everything to digital. I don't even know if I have any cassettes
Damn it.
anymore.
I'm that guy. Give me those cassettes. Let me get those demos.
Well, that's how I had my first let's see, cassette. Well, that's how I bought Rigor Mortis Freaks, was on cassette.
Yeah.
You know, I had the first one on vinyl. I actually won it in a contest. You know, like, yeah,
That's a great prize.
it was, yeah, for Halloween. It's like you could choose. Your choice was Rigor Mortis's titled debut album, or Linda Ronstadt sings Spanish love songs.
Well, you clearly have made that was a bad decision.
Well,
Actually, you chose poorly.
I like Linda Ronstadt, but I'm just gonna have to take this band that's, you know, has the songs like
Yeah, you got to take that. No one's
you know,
gonna want
Die in
that. Just doing
Pain
the
and-
guy a favor. Take
Yeah.
that.
yeah. It started my love affair with Rigor Mortis. But no, I get it, man. It's just hard to keep a band together.
It is. And so finding Billy was this kid was the only kid like doing the covers of our songs. You can go on YouTube and you can search any of my peers' bands. Havoc cover or Warbringer cover, and you'll get a dozen of them. You know, probably more than that. You search Vindicator covers, you're not gonna find fucking anyone touching those with a 10-foot pole. Here's Billy fucking doing this shit, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to get a hold of this kid. And it took me a little while because, you know, I danced around with he lives in Billings, Montana, so I just wasn't ready to accept a band member not being here. That's a hard thing for somebody to accept because it changes the dynamic of things when you can't regularly get together with your band members and rehearse.
Yes.
And you get that kind of level of inspiration and stuff. But if you want to make shit work, you make it work. And so Billy got better too. That was the thing. Like, not only was he was already good when I first started talking to him, but he significantly improved, and he was playing those James solos, and I'm going, fucking this he's the kid. He's the guy. And like, we're all like old enough to be like his dad and his grandpa. It's hilarious, but he's a sweet kid, man. He's a hard worker, and that fucker's going to do something. He's one of those guys. Like, that kid's going to go on to do something. I'm not saying that Vindicator is going to be the thing, but for him, he told me, he was like, dude, this is like a rock star moment for me. I'm talking the movie. Like, when I got a hold of him, he was like, oh man, like it was unreal to him. And I'm like, I don't know. Do you know who I am? Like, it's, I don't, you know, but he's really excited. He brings that energy that all us old people don't have anymore.
Right. When we were 20, 25.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, I know I'm not that old, but I definitely feel it. You know, I'm definitely more tired than I ever have been in my whole fucking life. So
you got road years on you.
Yeah. And not from the road. That's the shitty thing.
Yeah, I traded in the tacos for oatmeal. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Just
right.
Soft shelled oatmeal wraps.
Yeah, I got to take fucking fiber pills. Like, what?
I need the shit.
That's not even a joke. I'm for real, man.
I get it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, brother.
That's not a pun. I legitimately am taking fiber pills. Fucking hell.
I want to switch gears now and talk about Volcana. There's no transition because I didn't want to say and talking about shit because no.
Yeah.
but I could say talk about something sludgier.
There you go. Yeah. There you go.
Volcana, I really, really love so much. Because it's got that sludgier sound, heavy chugging riffs.
Yeah.
And I hear a lot of, especially like on Goddess of Flame, and I hear, well, all of it. I hear a lot of like the way Bruce Dickinson's Chemical Wedding album sounded.
Yeah. All right.
I'm
Yes.
I'm hearing
Good
that
comparison.
comparison to that because it's the same style. It's a progressive. It's modern. It's clean, but you got these elements of like trouble and In Flames,
Yes.
but you're pushing it with this really kind of progressive front edge that sounds a lot like what Bruce Dickinson was doing when Maiden was sinking. He was doing these fucking great albums,
Yeah. Right.
and just twin guitar attack, or that just maybe one guitar with an effect to a splitter, an octaver perhaps, or was it actually two of you doing these same kind of really intricate riffs?
It's me. Two of me. Schizophrenic.
Okay, nice. Well, the riffs are phenomenal because they're very intricate, and these really interesting chord progressions. Like, I was taking notes because I was writing these things down. Like, man, I want to sound like I know what I'm talking about. Um, on "We Stand,"
Okay.
there are a couple elements where I'm thinking, here's the chord progression, and I'm expecting it to go down. Like, okay, I know this chord progression. It's going to go down, and you like bring it up. I'm like, oh, and that just made such a different sound to the whole song. It was like unexpected. Like, oh fuck, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
right out of left field.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, you're obviously this is a different style of music than Vindicator. It's I wouldn't say it's thrash. There's the Maiden-esque element, like on Smoke and Terrors. The guitar parts reminded me of Duelists from Power Slaves.
Okay.
These long progressions. When I hear Witchblade, it's almost like really ancient Anthrax off their first album. I'm
Okay.
hearing this kind of thrash, those elements of like hardcore thrash, but for the most part, it's this sludgier, heavier kind of sound, and even the production value is different than Vindicator, I think. But it could just be me. But it's more layered. There's more guitars,
Right.
and it just is this wall of sound. So tell me how Volcana evolved from you moving in from Vindicator. Like what you're thinking. Is it taking a page out of the Exorcist story, or how did you want to say? I need to do this whole separate band and create this whole separate persona. How'd that come about?
So this is a long one. Buckle in. Get your popcorn. Um, one
And
day,
we're out of time. Sorry. Oh no.
yeah. one day, I saw a friend of mine, Eric Nelson from Vector, posted something about alternate tunings on Facebook, and all the years I've been playing guitar, I play in D standard. Vindicator, Violent Night, we were D standard. Always been D standard. Motley Crue was D standard, and that's why I wanted to do D standard. As crazy as that is, I was just like, this is the tuning, man. This is cool because it's a little heavier and yada yada. And he had made a post about alternate tunings, and I don't know, I never fucked with the tuning on my guitar, and it inspired me to go in, and I was like, yeah, let's fucking go down, a whole nother step. And now all of a sudden I'm in the sword territory. Okay, so at the time the sword was a favorite of mine. I was listening to Gods of the Earth a lot, and while it's not their best record, there was a few tracks on it that really fucking just spoke to me. And I was like, that's a fucking cool riff. And these guys are like a doom band, but they're like not a doom band. They're not fucking slow. Like they're playing heavy metal. It's just a little lower, and it's got that kind of early Sabbath vibe with how the vocalist, did his thing. And this is cool, man. And I started playing some sword song. And I had written a song about The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe a while before that. And this song popped into my head. And because I read the Chronicles of Narnia like once every 3 or 4 years, the whole fucking, all of them. They've been a favorite of mine since I was fucking a kid. Well, that came out wrong. Anyway, but since I was like fucking 12 years old, or even maybe even a little younger,
Yeah.
we
Spoiler
read The Lion,
alert,
the Witch, and the Wardrobe in school, and I was like, this is a cool fucking book. And my parents bought me the set, maybe that year, a year after, and those books, man, were fucking great. And even as an adult, I still fucking love them. I love them. They're easy to read. They're very well written. I love C.S. Lewis. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So I wrote this song about like the witch's perspective. She's all because she's the Satan character, the devil character in that story. And I was like, this is cool, man, and it speaks to me. And I wrote this cool song because that's not all, man. You read that. She's got that one like general or some shit that's like that wolf, man. He says some mean, like scary ass shit. This is a kid's book. And he's talking about like, I think it's in Prince Caspian, how he's like, oh, feast on 1,000 souls. He says like all these real like dark, scary things. I'm like, that's fucking great metal material right there, right? So, I wrote the witches perspective from the Table of Stone is about that the crucifixion, quote unquote, part of Aslan's lifespan or life, not lifespan, but and I couldn't use that for Vindicator. A really long way for me to get to that, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't Vindicator material. It wasn't the kind of stuff that we sang about. And I was like, this is cool. And I started messing around in that tuning, writing, and I wrote some kind of riff that sound. I was like, this is kind of like the sword, but it's not. Well, can't use it for Vindicator. Hate to throw it away. So I start thinking, well, yeah, I wrote a few songs like that. It was just fun. It was new to me. Playing and just that one whole step down made that much difference, inspiration wise, and things started flowing and I started fucking tracking these ideas. And I was like, I can't use these for Vindicator. So I had been talking to Jeff Potts from Mantic Ritual, Warbringer, Gygax. You guys might really enjoy Gygax. I mean, you might enjoy all of these bands, but Gygax is more, it's like a kind of a cool D&D type, I've
heard some of their songs. They're fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was on I think the most recent one. And I'd been talking to him because I've known Jeff for years. He was a Pittsburgh native for a long time. And I played with Mantic Ritual, a couple times when they were on the road. And we became fast friends. And I was kind of grooming him to join Vindicator. And at the time he was in California. I was like, and I decided, I got this other music. Would you be into doing something like this? Jeff was like, I'm into doing whatever. Let's just do something. I'm like, cool, and I'd already been talking, I think, to Glenn Monterey, who had filled in for Seven Witches when we toured with Vicious Rumors and Seven Witches. And I was, we became friends, and I stayed in touch with him. I had a full band at this point because Glenn was like, I can also play bass. And I'm like, oh, the whole rhythm section, drums and bass are very close and important to each other. I was like, one guy doing both, yeah, that's a no-brainer to me. And it kept the group small, which means less like issues. Smaller the group, the less issues. And I'm not talking like issues like power struggles or anything, just less to deal with, and it just makes it easier. And I was like, here we go. Well, I ended up abandoning the idea because I felt guilty about it by not focusing on Vindicator. I was like, I can't do this. And like a year later, I was like, well, nothing happened with Vindicator. We still don't have a lead player. We're still not playing shows. And I hit those guys back up. Volcana happened. Okay. And I pulled that name from Secret Wars, if you're curious.
Oh, okay.
The
80s?
The 80s Secret Wars, yeah.
Okay. Well, it's been a while since I read them, probably the 80s. So I, to be a while.
So it's just in case you were wondering. It's,
when I read it again, I'll look for it.
You'll know. So yeah, I was like, oh, that's cool. That's a band name. I always write down band names when they come to me. If I read them or I see them, so I just put them in my phone. And that one's, and it stayed with the correlation of like all band names being V for a long time. So I was into that.
What do you think for a band name? Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
Overactive Bladder. What are you thinking? Is that good?
I think that's a good grind band.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We got some other ones we probably shouldn't mention on the show because some people.
Yeah. We were going to go off in different areas of band names. Me and Montag at one point, and we'd probably get death threats. Some of those
that's
we'll talk after the show.
Yeah, we just
that happens. It does.
Off here. Yeah.
But anyway, so you got Volcana, Secret Wars, and then you start.
Yeah. So I decided we had like 4 songs or I had 4 song ideas. I'm sorry, and I was trying to get this. I wanted to do this EP by the time I went to this metal festival like the same year, and so ended up just doing 2 songs because it was just going to be easier. So we did a single, and that was the Lion Among Jackals single. And dude, it was like went into it with no expectations. Vindicator music, I always had expectations for. I always got disappointed. I was always pissed off about the results, and it was never a healthy thing for me. I went into this, I was like, I'm writing this shit because it's fun. I don't give a fuck what people think. I mean, that original album artwork for A Lion Among Jackals was a lion that I had found on Wikipedia, and it was like the picture was common use, and I was like, yeah, I can't afford art, so I'm going to use this this lion. And so people were into it. It got way more interest than I could have ever imagined. And, you know, I wasn't able to have anything pressed in time for that festival. I handed out download codes and, you know, no one gave a fuck, but people were finding this shit organically and like, you know, they were into it. And I was like, that's bizarre to me because I'll be real honest, man, it's real hairy, you know, like there's mistakes. I think from me, not from Jeff, not from Glenn. Like I'm the weakest link in that band. And there's like mistakes in the guitar parts. And I kind of had that devil may care attitude because you listen to High on Fire, man, you're going to hear stuff. You really listen to that band. Matt Pike makes mistakes in that music. He's got like 37 layers of guitars, but you can hear it where it's not tight. It's just hairy. It's the mentality of the thing. It's a no fucks given mentality. And I was like, I want to go into it like that.
I think it's what makes it sound.
And so with, you know, A Line Among Jackals, we were just like, fuck it, let's do it. I mean, it's not all over the place. It doesn't sound like shit. Right. I'm not just trying to.
No, it's tight. There's a lot of great melodies and rhythms, like I said.
So yeah, I mean that thing happened. That thing came together. We released it digitally. I expected nothing. It got way more interest, which I'm not saying it was like in Rolling Stone or even in no metal media gave a fuck about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it organically had more interest than I would have ever anticipated. And so that gave us a lot of excitement to do Goddess of Flame. And when we moved into the recording phase of that, some of those tracks are from the original, you know, the ideas came from the original, you know, single. And I don't know, man, like, you know, I was mainly influenced by the Sword and High on Fire at the time. And of course, you know, I'm always going to have like the twin guitar. That's just an overall ingrained inspiration for me from, you know, like any music that has twin guitars in it. You know, I mean, obviously Maiden was a big influence, but I've never heard Chemical Wedding. And to be honest with you, like Accident as anyone saying that comparing my music to that, Accident of Birth and Chemical Wedding and what's the next one? Tyranny of Souls?
Yeah.
Yes, those three.
Those three fucking records are fan-fucking-tastic. I got on a kick where I was just like, give me anything Roy Z produces. I know it's going to be gold, which I have recently proved inaccurate. But still, at the time, I was really like, that was it. And I've never, like, there's songs that, like, I still listen to on those records that I'm like, that's so fucking cool. It's so simple and it's so fucking cool. And so, I mean, yeah, I haven't listened to We Stand in a long time. I don't listen to a lot of my own stuff relatively frequently. Sometimes I'll put it on like once every other year or something. I don't know if any other artists do that, but once you kind of get through the initial phase of it, you're just like, I've heard this 8 million times before it's even released, and you just kind of distance yourself from it. But
because you're on to making more music.
Well, yeah, that too. So I mean, it's like, you know, We Stand though. I mean, to be honest, I don't recall any. There's certain songs where I'll say I want this to sound like this, and if you bring up Violent Night, I can give you some comparisons on that. But with it's weird because honestly, the only thing that I did on Goddess of Flame that I was like, I want this to kind of sound like this was kind of some old school like Swedish death metal type riffs. If you're familiar with Death Breath, which is forgive me for this. This is the drummer from Entombed's, the original Entombed's band, the guy from the Helicopters. Niklas, is that his name? Niklas. Forgive me, I'm losing street cred for this, but it's his band, and there's like some really cool, like it's just cool. It's fucking cool, and like this, like the intro to Witchblade, I drew influences from Death Breath for that particular riff. Okay. And, you know, and that's the thing with Volcana is where I try to not get super thrashy with it. We did like Witchblade's kind of a thrashy song. I even threw the lyrics in there, thrash through your enemies. I think, and it was intentional because it's kind of a thrashy song.
Sure.
Volcana's the band that I can do weird shit in, and that doesn't fit with Vindicator. That's kind of my outlet for that kind of stuff.
I think I wonder why it's organically grown is because thrash is a more niche kind of subgenre of metal, whereas what Volcana's doing, it was like that, Bruce Dickinson. It's a lot more accessible to people, not only people who like metal, but like the hard rock. Whereas hard rock fans are not going to be necessarily inclined to like Violent Night or Vindicator.
Right.
But they're going to be like, yeah, Volcana. You know, Volcana. That's what I think. What happened It's like
Right.
it's accessible, like why AC/DC is accessible to people who don't like hard rock or metal.
Right. And we did.
AC/DC.
It's funny you bring that up because AC/DC was a very, keep it simple, stupid kind of formula.
Right,
And there's nothing wrong with that. I fucking love AC/DC, and so do millions of other people.
Right,
And
exactly.
the thing about it is when we did approach Volcana, well, there's some intricate shit in there. I did try to keep it kind of straightforward rock and roll mentality. And I can't help that, I'll tell you what, I'll send this shit out, and we don't write this. I write the music. I write what you hear on guitar, and any kind of all the rhythm guitars are me. I mean, for the most part, I'm sure Jeff that probably has some accent shit that could be considered rhythm, but the song structure and the vocals, that's me. And I send that shit off to the other two guys. I don't know what I'm going to get back. It's like fucking Christmas morning every time I get something back. I get something from Glenn, and I'm like, I don't know how the guy fucking hears. He'll fucking write the drum parts that I hear in my head when I'm writing it, but I don't say shit to him. I don't tell him. Very few. Right. Maybe once I've been like, hey, can you kind of do something like this? I don't even know that I've actually done that, but I don't want to say I haven't. But for the most part, it'll be like, I hear this drum beat. I don't know what I'm going to get back. It's that fucking drum beat, and it blows my mind every time. And when I send something to Jeff, oh my goodness, that guy's it's the best icing on the best cake you've ever had. And when he sends his leads back, they're perfect every time. And his accent work, sometimes you'll get like this epic Blind Guardian 300 layers of guitars. And sometimes it's just, I'm just going to do my solo in this one. I don't know what I'm getting back. And to me, that's one of the special things about Volcana is it's a real treat for me when I get the tracks back and I get to hear what the other guys are bringing, because it's all organic on their end. That like I said, I don't guide them. I think I have with Jeff and Glenn maybe once been like, hey, could you do this? And that's it though. The rest of the time, it's just them and their own creativity. So I don't know that it's been that way. So they bring their own influences too. Like it's not just we have our bands like I Say High on Fire and The Sword, but they're bringing whatever the hell they want to bring to the table,
Right.
So,
but it's working. I'm glad that you told me how that process works, because that's fascinating to me. Like you're all working kind of distance, social distance, creating a record, but you're creating that sound structure, the song structure, and they're going with it, because you would never know that it wasn't all choreographed at the same time, because it sounds tight, it sounds purposeful. And I was listening to to Goddess of Flame, and I was hearing like, okay, how many? I was like counting the guitar tracks, and there was one song I heard at least 4 different guitar tracks. One's playing a melody, kind of these like little off notes, and when there's a solo, 2 guitars playing. Then there's like this heavy chugging. I'm like, oh fuck, is that 1, 2, 3, 4? I'm counting the tracks. But, and it just has that really dense, layered, big sound. That's what I love about it. It sounds phenomenal.
That's one of the, like I said, creatively, I'm able to do a little more with that music. The track, The Unwelcome, for instance, I wanted another track. I needed some more time. And I was like, I'm going to do an intro. And we had already recorded the whole record. It was at the studio getting mixed. And I was like, I'm going to do an intro. I don't like it coming right into Scolopendra. So, I plugged into a couple pedals that I have. I don't use pedals with Vindicator. The Vindicator's not a band.
You just run straight to your amp overdrive?
Right. It's just straight to my amp. And there towards the end, I was using a boost pedal into my amp, just give it a little more hair. But it's never, there's no frills on my behalf. It's just my amp, plug into maybe a pedal in the amp or just straight into the amp. It's no frills in that department. Volcana though, it's like, ooh, you can use some stuff here. You can use wonky noisemakers, like I got a lot of them. And I was never a pedal guy till like 5 years ago. And I'm like, this is fun. Pedals are fun. I started becoming a softie, so that pedal though, that's a toxic fuzz factory into a afterneath. And an afterneath is like a reverberator pedal. It's a reverb pedal that sounds like you're in a fucking cave. It's amazing. You can do the end of it. So if you listen to that track, the end of it kind of winds up.
Yes.
That wasn't done in the studio. I did that with a knob. I manually did that takeoff sound. So at the end, it's a stretch sound. I was playing my guitar right next to my amp, and I take it. It's like, wah. and it goes into the next track. Bam, there's an
that's
intro.
fucking sweet. That's cool.
You know, so that was a lot
great.
of fun. And I haven't since then. I haven't utilized a lot of pedals. Like I get in the habit of just writing, and I need to utilize pedals because they help with creativity. So, you know, in my field, it's just, you know, it's adding a little more color and you know, some different shit. You don't know what you're going to come up with, and it's going to help you in the end, instead of, if you've hit a dead end, you know, here's something, try this because this might spark some kind of idea. But that band,
just like you tuning down did.
Right. And it's not even just pedals. It's writing wise, Vindicator, I've put myself in a box, and it's very difficult to get out of that box. And that's it's been very difficult to get out of that box and kind of come from a fresh perspective while maintaining what the fans want to hear. With Volcana, it's just like, I can do whatever the fuck I want. I have songs that are very, very doom like, and I have songs that are very traditional metal, and I have some thrash songs. You know, Valley of the War Gas is straight up thrash. I mean, that's like a Metallica song, and I don't know if people think we're fucking weird because we can't, like, that was one of the problems with early Violent Night, was that we couldn't be placed into a specific genre. We had songs that sounded like Iron Maiden, we had real proggy songs, and we had straightforward rock songs. And it was weird, and it didn't appeal to people because they had to think too much, I think, or we couldn't be placed, and that fucked shit up. But with Volcana, I don't know, I do try to maintain, you know, a certain sound, because you don't want to stray too far away from it, but I'm able to do more and explore more, like vocal harmonies. Like, that's a big thing. Like, I can sing a little bit with Volcana, whereas, you know, Vindicator, there's not a whole lot of parts where, you know, you got to sound angry with that. You're being mad about the government. You got to sound angry. You can't fucking try to sound pretty.
Cloud never left before.
But with Volcana, I don't know, the whole thing was very liberating for me, because it was fun again. And that's a key factor when you're not making money doing something. By God, it better be fun. Or why are you doing it? You know,
why are you right? Exactly. Why else are you doing it? Right. Now,
I was going to ask you. Sorry, Montag. I was going to ask Vic a question about. I was going to ask you more like, how about like bands like Candlemass, Trouble, that you dig them, or?
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, you know, like, I got a lot of Trouble comparisons early on, and you know, who doesn't love Psalm 9? And I mean, early Trouble. I never got into like the Trouble where they had like the hippie logo as you know, like the first several Trouble records for me. And that's not because it's just because I didn't have them. I'm not a guy who like listens to music anywhere but until after I buy it. Like, that's who I am. I very rarely will go to YouTube and listen to music. I don't care unless I find it, and then I'll listen to it. Like, so I guess if I found those Trouble records, those later ones, in a store, used or new, I would have probably bought it and listened to it. But I'm not going to listen to it otherwise. I don't know why I'm like that. That's just how I am. And Candlemass, oh yeah, fuck yeah. Who doesn't love Candlemass? And that's not stopping there. You know, a big influence is like the Black Sabbath. That wasn't the super doom Black Sabbath. You know, Tony Martin era Black Sabbath is my personal favorite Black Sabbath. You know, you're talking is it Tear, and I think it's Tear, and Headless Cross, and Cross
Eternal
Purposes.
Idol.
He was on Cross Purposes too, yeah? Or am I wrong on that? I think
that's a great one too. Yeah.
So I mean, like, those records, the Tony Martin stuff is, and that doesn't sound like doom to me. You know, doom to me is like, you know, it's kind of slow, and it's kind of, you know, sludgy. Not so much sludge, but like slow and drawn out, and, you know. But I like the doom that's like heavy metal. It's just basically heavy metal. They call it doom. I don't know if it's because of the lyrical subject or what, but that's kind of what I'm into. But it, you know, and I've always been into that stuff. Don't get me wrong. Like, who doesn't love Black Sabbath from day one? You know, it was just that I think at the time, it all kind of happened at the same time, because I had owned Age of Winters by the Sword for a long time, and it just didn't strike a chord with me. I owned one of those. I bought a High on Fire record and hated it and got rid of it. I just wasn't into it. And it was Gods of the Earth that really flicked that switch for me. And then I was in a record store, and somebody was playing Death is His Communion, and I was like, is this seriously High on Fire? And that it got me back into the band, and it got me like into like how it was. One of the things I didn't like, I think it was Black Wings. Is that the name of that record?
I think so.
it was real underproduced and raw, and I was like, ugh, ooh. And I just wasn't into that kind of stuff at the time, you know, and now I am, you know, so it's like, and I was coming into that kind of stuff at the time. So, you know, because shit, it took me a long ass time to listen to Sleep. I mean, I finally got around to listening to Holy Mountain, like, I don't know, in the past 10 years. And it was like, that I should have already have heard that record, but just wasn't into that stuff. And so it was a culmination of right place, right time, down tuning, already being a fan of like Sword riffs and what they were doing. And it spawned the whole thing. And I tried to, for a long time, it was my main focus until recently. Recently, I kind of picked the Vindicator torch back up and have focused on that. Not to say that Volcana is done by any means. It's just one of those things that we do while we're all able to do it. Because it's a studio project. So it fits into our lives. So it's not the other way around for us with that project.
Well, that's the great thing, you know, because you have so many projects, so many different directions. No matter where you're at with one band, you can always be doing something with another, you know,
right.
project. Which is my transition to. I got to ask you about Liquor Quick.
Yeah,
I saw only the one song, the Keystone Light, and I'm not sure if that's the only thing you did, but
it is.
Okay, it is. It is a fantastic song. I mean, I can tell you guys were like, fuck, let's write a song. We're going to write the best song about the shittiest beer ever, you know? And it was like, when I first heard, I'm like, oh, it's Rat. It's totally Rat. The riff, the singing style from like straight up out of the cellar. I'm like, you know, this is great because if you like your big hair metal, you know, and my notes were like, you just need some spandex and neon green glasses to go with the bright red and yellow leather jackets.
Yeah,
you know,
Balmore was the only one. If you watch the video, Balmore's totally rocking the look.
There's a video?
Oh yeah, you've not seen the video?
No.
Oh
well,
yeah,
is that on YouTube?
Oh yeah.
Oh shit!
Oh
my pants.
yeah.
I am going to go watch that now.
So let me tell you about Liquor Quick. It's the pandemic, and I'm bored as fuck, and I'm like, everybody needs something fun. So I schemed. I have this idea. I'm like, I'm gonna write a fucking Dawkins song about Keystone Light. So Keystone Light was my go-to cheap beer for a long time.
Yeah.
Until recently, it was my go-to beer for a long time, and Vindicator tried to get an endorsement because it didn't fall. It fell on regional like beer distributors. It didn't fall on the Coors company.
Yeah.
They were like, you have to talk to your local, and the local people were like, no, they didn't even bother to get back with us. So we all had Keystone Light cut-off shirts.
Nice.
We did the whole thing. It pissed me off so bad. I wanted an endorsement, but I just wanted some free Keystone Light. Let's just be honest. But you know, so I was like, I want to do this thing, and I don't want to do a video for it. So I wrote the song, and I already had all the people lined up. I knew Jesse would be able to do it because we were going for an 80s sound, and Jesse's got an electric kit, and I was like, this will be perfect. Jesse can record MIDI drum parts, send them to me, and I can throw them into, you know, a drum plug-in, and I can pick the drum sound and everything. So I was like, this is gonna be perfect. And I think that's how we did that one. That's how we did that one. And I here again, I think Jeff was busy. I think that's why we didn't use Jeff. Jeff was busy working on his band, The Fae. And so I was like, hit up Balmore. Balmore and I have been friends here again for a long ass time. He sang for death metal Yngwie Malmsteen. It's kept in touch for a long ass time. And I was like, hey, you want to do the thing? And he's like, yeah, I'll do the thing. And Stevens. I think he's still in Shock Paris. Every band in Cleveland, as Ed has probably played. Dude, he filled in for Charles Walls of the Damned. Let's just
there you go.
Let me tell you something. Fantastic fucking bassist, and eager just to do shit. The guy loves doing. And it's a pandemic. What are you doing? We were all in lockdown at the time. So what are you gonna do? Of course, you're gonna record some sick Dawkins song about Keystone Light.
Yeah.
But I had the idea for this video, and I threw that video together on my fucking phone, just so you know. So I edited that on my phone. I mixed it myself. I mastered it myself. Everything I did that whole thing. We thought it was going to be I was like, man, this might be the thing that does it for me. No, not accurate at all. I think I sold a couple copies of the single, and we were doing the charity for Mila, so we sold a few then. But
it's great fun though. That's the thing. When I heard it,
well, yeah, it
harkens back to that era, but it's so earnest while being silly at the same time. You know, you're writing a song about about Keystone Light. It's like, come on, how you can't do a serious song about a beer. You just can't. I mean,
I tracked
Kiss
those. I
tries
also
with
tracked
Snapchat.
those. I was drinking whiskey while I tracked those. Maybe that's what did it.
Yeah.
I just wasn't being genuine.
Yeah,
It
but
wasn't. It wasn't.
just no. It wasn't your cold gin. It wasn't that for you.
Right.
You know.
Oh man, I'll tell you what,
Suicide
man. It
solution.
was fun story. Fun story about that. Fucking have on Alive, right? I've never listened to Alive. I've had it for a while, and I have a weird copy that only had like disc 2, like LP 2.
Oh, okay.
So I get over to the cold gin side, man, and that Paul Stanley rant is my favorite thing. Heard some of you guys like orange juice. Gets me every orange juice. Love how he says it. Fucking love Paul Stanley, man.
Yeah, he's the great
So,
front
I'm
man.
sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
No,
it's
have you heard the first half of Alive now? Have you finally?
Oh yeah. No, I made sure to seek out when I put it on. I was like, oh, I bought like a cleaner copy.
Yeah.
Just to shove in and like kind of change out the one I had already. I put the 2 newer ones in there.
Yeah.
And, it was like $10 for the 2 of them or something.
Yeah, it's a great beginning. I mean, Deuce sounds great.
Dude.
100,000 years. It wasn't
fucking
my
fantastic.
first live album. I had Kiss Alive 2 first. That was the era I got into Kiss, with Love Gun and Destroyer and Rock and Roll Over, and those albums. Then when I got Kiss Alive, it was like a whole different band. Like it was heavier. I mean, I was 10. So I'm like,
dude, it's
heavier.
Great.
It's a great live album, even though it's not live. It's totally set up and fake, but it's still a fucking great performance.
Right.
Really
Here's the thing. Like, I'm looking at my records right now. Some fell over, and it makes me angry. OCD about that shit. But
Keystone Light angry.
I'm not gonna break nothing, but
all right, good.
Not gonna Hulk out. No, man, my favorite. It's a real quick side thing. Is
we got time.
Live vinyl is my favorite thing. Live records on vinyl, my all-time favorite thing. I will purposely buy live records on vinyl. I have them on CD, not as good. Don't have the same vibe. The whole aesthetic of a live LP, I love it. Absolutely love it.
Live
so sorry, go ahead, continue.
Live After Death. You have Live After Death on vinyl?
I do, man. I bought that. It was one of those. You remember when you go in the exchange and they had records up on the wall?
Yeah.
And they didn't really want to get them down. Live After Death was up there. I was like, I want that. How much is that?
Because they were like, it's phenomenal.
They were like $12.
Yeah,
sold.
It's great, man.
Because it was back before records were cool again. So
that's right.
I was sorry though. Yeah.
The best live metal record ever, but
I think so. It's probably the best live.
Priest Unleashed in the East in there too. I think.
I have so many. I don't have that one on CD either. It's one of the ones I need. I've got some live records though. So I rediscovered some that I had the other day because I've been redoing my records. That's why the set fell over here. But it's like the Made in Japan, and I bought this Accept record one time. I didn't even realize it was a live record until I bought it and got it home and listened to it. And I was like, oh, it's a live record. That's cool. I love them. Absolutely love them. Favorite one I own like I think it's Destructor's first show. I think it's their first show. I could be wrong on that, but it's a live Destructor record bootleg. Oh, it's so fucking good. So fucking good. It's a bootleg too. That's the best part, man. It totally sounds like somebody recorded it on a fucking tape deck. It's fantastic. I don't know, man. Some people be like, why the fuck would you like something like that? And it's like, because it sounds like it sounds right to me. Yeah. Does that make sense? Like it feels right.
Good point.
That's how we recorded our shows in college. We literally brought a boombox, set it on the bar, and had the bar guy push record so we could get it, and make sure someone was there to flip the cassette, to start recording again. But it was a different sound. You get the whole wall of sound rather than we all would also get a copy of the board.
The soundboard,
completely different sound. A little, dry. It was not mixed the same way. But with a live boombox there, you get the sound of the crowd.
Dude, that's the
whole band.
Yes,
and it sounds like you're at a fucking show, and that's the whole point. Yeah, I'm at a show. I'm 15 feet away. I'm in some little bar, drinking a beer, watching a band, and this is exactly what it's gonna fucking sound like.
Right. I have an Obituary bootleg vinyl. Same thing. It's like somebody had a tape deck. It's great. Love it. Absolutely love that, man. Those are my favorite kind of vinyl.
When you can still hear it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how we did the Vindicator demo. The first Vindicator demo was Griffin iTalk, the extension for the old iPod. You slap into where the power thing went, and it was like, maybe it was just the headphone jack. I don't know. Somehow you slapped it in there, had a little microphone on it, and we just set it up in a different room because it'd be too close and distorted. So we set it up different room, hit record. We did our first. It was just one track of our show, and that's what we sounded like. That was a good representation of ourselves, But sorry, I'm sorry, I derailed. Back to Liquor Quick.
No, I just thought it was hilarious. I like the fact that you put out a song. And it was so different than everything else. Again, after our conversation about the band Exorcist, it just kept on reminding me of your versatility. And just like these guys, we have a record label with no bands. Let's make up all the bands and let's do all the music.
Right.
Just reminded me of a musician who really just wants to explore and do different things, whatever you want, and you're not limited to being defined. Although each of the bands, like you said, Vindicator is a little more. You are in a box of sorts to make sure the fans get that sound they want, but you're able to explore different things like through Volcana, and then have goofy stuff like Liquor Quick. Like, I love the name. It's just like, oh, that's fucking great. And then you're just doing, so that's really exciting to listen to that and to see you being able to do so much different kind of music, because unfortunately, we live in this society, a lot of music fans are, when a band comes out, they want them to stay the same. They want their artists to not grow or not change. And that's disappointing in a way, because I know what you like, and like you're afraid that your band's going to sell out like Metallica did and other things like that. But when I hear a really great band like Opeth, and how they have grown and changed, and I don't know if you're listening to Opeth now or anything like that, but they have really changed a lot over the last 20 years, and I'm excited every time I listen to an Opeth album. It's like, oh, it's takes me in different directions that I never would have expected. Especially like their last couple 3 albums have been like, wow, fuck, it's so different than when you're going to hear even like from Blackwater Park, and it's more mellow but complicated and syncopation and weird, and he's not like doing the death metal vocals anymore, but it's more layered and rich, so I look at that as a positive thing. So anyone who can pivot and change directions and do multiple kinds of genre, I think that just is more of a testament to the person as a musician than I'm going to limit myself.
Right. Yeah, it certainly was. I mean, it was more about the time, being that most people were in lockdown, and it's kind of a miserable time, and I wanted to do something fun, and I was hoping that, to bring some joy to people for once, they'll get a kick out of this.
About damn time, Vic.
Yeah, and I think they did, especially with the video. It was more about the video.
I've got to see it as we wind up things here. I think no matter what, just to kind of sum up all of your music, to sum up Volcana, Vindicator, you've got these tight riffs and melodies. You've got a lot of speed changes and tempo. You got a lot of thrash. And I'm going to say, if you are a fan of fast shreds and really great solos, I would say just go to Bandcamp, buy some of Vic's music. Vindicator is up there. Volcana's up there. Violent Night is up there. Liquor Quick. Listen to the music. You are going to be such a fucking fan. Now, you said you're back in doing Vindicator right now, and I won't keep it much longer. So, what's next for Vindicator? You guys like working on a new album, or what is?
We are. The songs are all scratched out, so everything's written. I think drum tracking begins next month at some point. And from there, we've got our schedule all written out. Most of us are tracking probably in our own studios, but the drums are something that we have to track in a studio. So those take, they would take, point anyways, given they're the drums, but it'll bounce back and forth between all of us before it gets mixed. I think we're hoping to have it out in fall at some point in time.
Okay, cool. Artwork wise, do you need stick figures?
I don't think so, but
okay.
I'm not counting them out. just
Right.
yet.
Just
You never
offering,
know.
just offering, so I'm excited about the new music. I'm looking forward to that. And I did promise you some goofy questions, so I got a couple in mind.
Excellent. Yes.
Okay. If you could be a tree, I'll do the Barbara Walters thing. If you could be a tree, Vic, what kind of tree would you be?
Well, I kind of like those. Are they ginkgo trees? Is that it? They have the
Oh,
fun
yeah.
leaves. My neighbor has one. I love those trees. They're in Oberlin too, so I've always been fascinated with those.
All right.
Those leaves. That would probably be my go-to. But if I had a backup, I'd probably be like some kind of redwood.
Nice.
I like a giant tree too.
All
So
right.
fun, either fun. You got to have fun leaves, or you got to be massive. That's the type of tree I'm going to be.
Okay. If you were a dog, would you be a leg humper or a pillow fucker?
Pillow fucker.
Good. Good. You gotta have a special pillow just to finish in it.
Yeah,
It's gonna get all crusty.
Legs aren't, legs. They fight back. Nobody wants that done to them. Pillows never say no.
Yeah, pillows can't say no. That's right. Good. Excellent. If you had to have voluntary surgery, what would you have?
Probably like something that I wasn't going to stand a chance of like dying during the operation. Maybe a toe removed.
Okay.
I mean, I know that can fuck
And
up
where
your
would you have it
walking.
put on your body? Remove a toe.
So
you got to reattach it somewhere.
Okay, so it'd probably be a pinky toe. I don't know how big they play in balance. I feel like they can't play too big. Probably do, but maybe not.
Okay.
And I would totally probably put it on my hand somewhere, probably on the side. So it looked like a spur, like a one of that weird dog dew claw or whatever, that dog finger that isn't.
Yeah, exactly.
And it wouldn't be for anything other than really fucking with people. Like I would, that's the hand I would shake people's hands with.
Yeah.
So it'd be my right hand, obviously, because that's the hand that does all the work.
If you ever do karate chops, you'd be like, "What the fuck is that bump?"
Yeah, man. That would be enough right there. I'd just hold my hand up and have that fucking pinky toe hanging out there.
Metal more.
People's getting out of here. That guy's a mutant, man. Get him out of here, man.
Nice.
Probably get a testicle removed and then sell it for science because I have no use for it anymore.
Exactly.
The money.
Exactly. Someone give me 20 grand for one of my nuts.
Hey, that's not a bad deal.
Yeah. Hey, why not? And last question: peanut butter crunch or crunch berries?
Peanut butter crunch.
All right, man.
I'm a peanut butter guy. Just recently, we got a box of Captain Crunch recently, and I hadn't had it for years because everyone has the experiences of eating it and having the raw roof of your mouth,
shred your mouth, right?
Yeah, I haven't eaten it in so long, and I had a bowl, and I was like, man, that stuff's pretty good. Even the not crunch berry parts are pretty good, and it made me remember peanut butter crunch, and I've been trying to talk my wife, and I just keep forgetting to ask her.
Yeah,
really,
those
so
are all
I'm not doing very good.
They're not going to hurt your mouth.
Yeah, so it's like the peanut butter stuff, man. It's just a bowl of awesome, man. I put peanut butter on just about everything. If I'm having you gotta have ice cream, I gotta have half a jar of peanut butter on that shit.
Nice.
Wow.
That's a Sunday for me. It's extra fiber. That's what it is.
Right. And I'm not a big fan of the multicolored berries. I mean, I ate it when they were just the red berries, and I would eat around the berries when I was a kid, just eat all the crunchy stuff and then save all the berries for the end. But I will say this, since they have all the colors of the berries now, when you shit, your shit turns green.
Oh, it doesn't?
Yeah, it is like, because green, your body can't process green dye. And I'm like, it's like, holy Lord. I look like I'm the astrocyst. It's what's your mother's maiden name? I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck did I eat?
Do you remember did you eat the black metal Whopper when they had that?
No.
I did. That shit was scary when you shit it out.
It's really bad. Yeah.
It was black, man. It was like, because it was a black hamburger, though. It was black. It was a novelty burger. You eat it and you shit and you're like, what the fuck, man?
Wow. It's like too much chili with the dark red kidney beans when it's all tarry. Yeah.
You're like, oh man. Oh boy.
Come on, ice cream, huh?
Yeah. And this interview has gone way south real quick, but that's cool, man. That's good. Vic, I want to thank you for joining us tonight, and so appreciate your time and sharing your stories and everything about it. I am such a fucking fan of your music, and I'm so grateful that we're friends, and that I know you are working on some music for an excellent pulp book, coming out soon. But
Word on the street is.
word on the street. But I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad you're reading it. Thank you. And is there
Thank
anything
you,
else?
Vic. It's been a pleasure.
Anything else you want to say to
No,
our millions of fans out here?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. Actually, one of the more fun interviews I've had because of how it was structured. I think you guys did a great job with just how things flowed, and you could elaborate on stuff, and it wasn't so, here's a question answer kind of. I don't know. I haven't been involved in too many interviews where you get kind of the natural, like we're just having a conversation.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. Thank you for having me on.
Sure.
It
Appreciate
definitely
it.
was not a problem for me because I can talk for hours. So,
Well, that's great because, like I said, I had 2 questions, so I'm glad you had a lot to say. And I'm excited. So anyone out there, you want to check Vic's music out? Vindicator, Volcana, Liquor Quick, Violent Night on Bandcamp, on YouTube. If you like it, you buy it. And I have to say, now that I've listened to it so much, like I gotta send you some money for some CDs, man. That's it. I just have to. So
oh,
because
thank you.
I'm just, especially Volcana. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it is good. And so I'm excited for where you're gonna go, and hopefully we can get a live show sometime. But I'm gonna give you a text after I watch the Keystone Light video. I'm still gonna fucking text you, just let you know. Like,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
so cool. All right, man. Well, you've been. I guess I could. Yeah, I'll do it the regular way, as I do my screw up. So I am Montag,
Top.
and Vic Stone is Vic Stone,
That's
and
me.
you've been listening to Heavy Metal. Help us out, Vic. Horror. And we're out. Cool, man.